time to check the gauges and switches and refurbish the dash.
So, the only thing that was what I would consider atypical is just knowing that to get these components out the back of the dash, you have to find that little pin, and that's a spring pin that you just push in and then the knob pulls off. It might be rusted, but just keep working on it and put some blaster in there. Here's one exposed. Okay, so that's the pin, it's spring loaded. Just push that in through the access hole as shown, and it will pull off. Other than that, everything is straightforward. So it's time to check the gauges as much as I can just to see if they work. I have more gauges that came out of the sunken MGB from the same year, so I'm not hosed on gauges having to buy new ones yet. I do need, as I said, I do need another temp, oil pressure and temp, water temp gauge. But I think I might even have one of those. It kind of came with some car that I bought from some guy that had some stuff in a box. So we'll check that inventory. And we'll also check for, the switches that were missing. There was a couple of things here that just weren't in the dash. So I'll look at what they were supposed to be and see if we have replacements for them before I go talking to Mr. Moss. All right, so for giggles, I thought I'd show you in my blasting suit. Of course, I got my mask, and I'm blasting the dashboard and the leaf springs. And I thought about it, like halfway, I should show them me blasting the dashboard. So there's the blasted side, and there's the non-blasted side. Similarly, there you go. And then I'll be doing the leaf springs too. So there you have it. I'm not going to show you me doing it because, it is what it is. But, this little pot, I think it's the 5-gallon pot. I mean, it does great. You have to buy a better nozzle. And here is my nozzle assembly. I got it off Amazon. It is what it is. But stuff wears out, that you're passing abrasive through metal and rubber. So I actually had to weld a hole here that had worn in. And some of the valves don't work like they should. But this little guy works great. But you gotta have a big enough compressor. If you got some wimpy little, 20-gallon or something with a 1-horse, it's just, it ain't gonna work. You gotta have a big industrial compressor to run any of this stuff. The indoor sandblasting cabinet, this outdoor sandblasting cabinet, your power tools, your pneumatic tools. If you don't have a good compressor, you're just wasting your time. All right, there's the blasted dashboard. Get out of the sun in all its glory. So I'm gonna prime this, and then I'm gonna paint it with, it's called textured paint, because I looked at the photos of the original 67s, and it's not like a crackle texture, it's like a sandpapery texture. So I looked at all the various brands and stuff, and there's a Rust-Oleum black textured, and it seems to match it perfectly. So we'll give it a go, and I'll let you know. A while back, I sandblasted and got the dash all clean and primed. So that's been sitting. That's actually 2 rings, you only need 1. So what you're looking at is stuff accumulated from the sunken wreck and from the original car. And I think you can tell the difference between that speedometer and this speedometer, right? Which one came off the sunken wreck. But, you know, I kept them just because the bezels and the glass, and you never know what you're gonna need, right? So 2 tacks. I only have 1 fuel gauge for some reason, and then I bought this, you know, $8 million gauge here for some reason. It's incredibly expensive. Not even sure what that was. It might have been the old fuel gauge from the wreck. But I cleaned these up back when I was doing the dash, so they're all beautiful and working and ready to go. Of course, these are the manual controls for the vents and stuff like that. There's a map light. What else? I got a light bulb. I got all the these are the various brackets that hold the gauges behind the dashboard. Got to clean those up, make them beautiful, even though you'll never see them. So what else we got in here? Got these guys. I don't remember what they do. And then I'm not sure what these went to, but I bought a couple of extra switches because these things are incredibly expensive for what they are. So where I can, I'll be cleaning these guys up, refurbishing them. So anyways, oh, these are interesting. These they're basically shields, right? And these go behind the indicator, you know, arrows. And again, they just shield the light from the bulbs blinking from lighting up the whole back behind the dash. That's what these do. But these had a grommet on them, which you can see ain't happening anymore. And you can't buy that grommet. I don't think you can buy these either. But, I mean, you know, it looks like a PVC half-inch pipe, maybe 3/4 at the most. And, you know, I can find some grommets that'll work. So, not too concerned about that. Had a new ignition switch somewhere. This is the old windshield reservoir pump. And when I ordered a new one, that's the key. It doesn't look the same. Has the same functionality. I might have ordered the wrong year, but oh, here it is. No, it's around here somewhere. So here's the new one. Close, but no cigar. So there's the new one. There's the old one. Obviously not the same. I don't know if I had the choice to pick an older year, so I'm gonna have to delve into that one. And then this is what was in the wreck, I'm pretty sure. This, of course, being the indicator switch. But I did buy another one of these, so if there's something funky, I can and will replace that. All right, so with that, I'm gonna test what I can. Like, I might be able to test RPMs by hooking up a drill or something. Yeah, the same with the speedometer. So I'll test what I can, clean it up, and start putting it back together. So, just want to discuss the order of things. So certainly got to clean everything up. And then I got to paint this. So once that's painted and the gauges are cleaned up and proven to be working, the switches have been cleaned up and proven to be working, then I mount all of that into the dash. So it looks like it's a working dashboard. And then that gets shelved until it's time to install it as a one big thing, because by then you'll have routed the harness right behind the dashboard, and all those plugs and wires and stuff will be, sticking out. And then you'll hold the dashboard up there while you're connecting the various wires, and then just sit the whole assembly into the car. So that's how that's gonna go, theoretically. All right, let's test the fuel gauge, which is just purely electrical. So what I have is my 12 volt source, and I'm positive ground, so red, my brain is used to seeing red as positive, but it's hooked to the negative terminal, and that will help me keep track of stuff and not fry them and blow them up. So I've grounded the case of the sending unit, and by the way, I'm testing the sending unit, which is brand new, with the gauge. You can test the gauge by itself just purely by hooking it to a battery, and if it's when you hook it up and the needle goes all the way to full, it works, okay? Because the more voltage that comes in here, the fuller the recording is, so to speak. So the rheostat is allowing more voltage the higher it is in the tank, right? Because it's floating on the gasoline. So when the tank is full, the floodgate is open from a voltage standpoint, and the needle shows full here. All right, so I've grounded the case, so to speak, the gas tank itself. I'm coming off the hot lead into the gauge, and then running the gauge directly to the battery. So let's hook this up and look for sparks. And nothing blew up. Let's see what we got here. All right, so I don't have a lot, but let's move the float to say halfway up the tank and see if we get this thing to budge. And it's budging a little bit. Let's go a little more. There we go. And then I'll rotate this to show full tank. So that would be full tank. The float all the way. And notice that the gauge is going up. It says watch it, see if it hits F. And it does. And then if I were to over here move this to like halfway there, let's see what this guy does. There we go, going down slowly. Let's see if it hits roughly half. It's dampened, so it's not going crazy speed-wise. Half tank, roughly. Looks like it stopped. And then if I move the float to empty, we're going down. So, for sure, we have a working sending unit and we have a working fuel gauge. Test one. All right, so if you don't have a sending unit handy and you just want to check the gauge itself, it's literally just hook it to the battery. There's two terminals on the back, and hook one to positive, one to negative. In this case, we'll just hook it up here. And there she goes, because it's getting, full 12 volts. So it should show full. All right, easy gauge to test, fuel gauge. All right, next up is the speedo, and it's purely mechanical. There's light bulbs that go in it for various things, but itself, it's mechanical. So what I'm using is a square screwdriver bit. you can find smaller flathead bits that'll also fit in there. And then all you do is put it in the back and turn it on. Alright, let's give it a whirl, literally. So I'm just putting this in the back here. And there we go. I'm gonna keep it on for a little bit and see if the mileage counter works also. Alright, so what we just saw, which is that one spun over to 1. That one didn't move at all. Now what I don't know is what these units are. So let me just keep going for a little bit. I'm watching to see if that 5 clicks over. Ah, there it goes. Alright, so it is working. It did click over. Alright, so that's a successful test. It works. On to the next gauge. Alright, it's raining, so excuse the noise in the background. But I'm at the point where I wanted to test the tachometer, and these are electric tachometers. They're not being driven off of any gear or shaft kind of thing. So that means they have to be hooked up to something that creates a pulse. Now in the car, that pulse comes from the coil, i.e. the distributor. I don't have any vehicles that have a coil that I can use, and there's really 2 ways to check them. One is to literally hook it up to a vehicle that has a coil, and then you just test it to see if it works with the other car. It doesn't matter if it's a 4-cylinder, 6 or 8. You just want to see if this thing is deflecting and working and not stuck. Like this one is stuck. No, this is the one that's stuck. It doesn't do anything, whereas this one does move, right? The other way, since I don't have a vehicle, is to get a pulse generator, and that can be from an oscilloscope, or you can buy things that are actual pulse square tooth waveform generators, where you can key in a frequency and it'll just put out those pulses. I don't want to do that, but do your research, you'll see what I'm talking about. But really, other than that, there's no real good way to test a tachometer. So I'm going to just put this one. This is the one that's from the vehicle that still moves. This is off the sunken wreck. It's stuck, and it actually has debris in it. So we'll set that aside. And I'm unfortunately just going to assume this works. So when I get a vehicle or an engine to the point where it's running, I'll just hook this up real quick to see if it's working and go on accordingly. But I'm going to assume this thing works. So I'm just going to clean it up and put it back together and hope that it's good. Other than that, that's all the gauges tested and done. So I'm going to refurbish them and then put them in the dashboard along with the switches. If the switches are looking a little rough, well, first I'll test them, make sure they're getting the right connections coming in and out of them. That's easy to do.
Visit us again for the second part of this dashboard refurbishment series.